Good, huh? Woke you up. I call this meeting to order Wednesday, June 1st at 6 o'clock, City Hall Complex Chambers. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Madam Clerk, will you please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Invocation will be, item number 3, invocation will be given by Pastor James Kirby from the Sovereign Grace Baptist Church. Please rise.
Join with me in prayer as we bow before the God of heaven. God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, we approach you at the inception of this council meeting as our Creator and Sustainer. For you have made all things, and by your power they exist. You have ordained the powers that be. Government exists by your will and for the common good of man. You give us life, you give us intellect, you give us emotions and will. I ask that the men and women of this council might be endowed by you with wisdom to conduct the business of this city expeditiously, courteously, graciously, and skillfully, knowing that although they have been elected to their office by the great people of this city, yet ultimately they must give an account to you in that great day when the secrets of all men's hearts will be judged. Father, may you bless this council and this city as they deliberate on each item in their agenda. Bless them, that they in turn might be a blessing to others. I pray that personal desires be set aside, that the general good of the people and society might be the primary concern. I ask that wherein they disagree on matters, that each one might agree to disagree amicably. May the welfare of this city be advanced by these men, I pray. I thank you, Father, that these men are willing to acknowledge their need of you to do the tasks before them this evening. And may you be glorified in all that is said and done, for I ask it in the name of Jesus Christ, the King of kings and Lord of lords. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you very much, Pastor.
Thank you. Thank you.
Item number 4, Mayor's Arizona History Fun Facts. Everybody put their history hats on and let's see who can answer the question at the very end. Mr. Dilly, are you prepared, sir?
We're absent our guru.
I know, but we have a lifeline, so okay. We can call.
Good.
We already said we could call. Okay, the first one, Harry J. Carnes, born in Jamestown, New York. He located in Nogales in 1907. Had a lengthy career in the public arena. He was elected senator to the 2nd Legislature in 1914. He was influential in fostering a building program for a series of bridges on the road between Nogales and Tucson. In 1921, the senator was elected to the Nogales City Council and was a member of the, you know, I've got the word here, freeholders, but I've also heard it's freeloaders. Which one is it? Mr. Olona?
I don't think it's freeloaders.
Okay, that's part of the question. Well, I figured I'd throw that in there. Which formulated the present Nogales City Charter. Also, the first election following the institution of the new charter was the beginning of Carnes' stay in as mayor. Shortly after his election, he helped negotiate an end to the last resolution in Nogales, Sonora, as mediator for the two fighting factions. Second is George Dunbar, a California real estate developer who arrived in Nogales in 1914. Dunbar was Nogales' first true developer. Unlike others that would sell off parcels for buyers to do as they wished, Dunbar bought, subsidized, and improved the track with streets and sidewalks, and then constructed many of the properties which he in turn sold to the public. He first developed the Alice track, where he built his own home on Grand Avenue. This was actually followed by other fine homes, such as the home of Wirt G. Bowman, after he platted and improved the smelter track adjoining it to Alice, the Silver Bell addition, Dunbar, Bungalow Court, and Mountain View additions alongside Wayside Drive. From 1914 to 1918, he constructed 75 homes in Nogales, Arizona, and was also the organizer of la Compañía de Constructora de Sonora, which resulted in dozens of residents in Nogales, Sonora. When it comes to economic development, he deserves much credit for the impact on the economy of Nogales. Nogales benefited from increased taxes, a raise in employment and merchandising in both the building trades and consumer goods. This enhanced our town's economic stability, particularly during the years of World War I. Okay, then I got this handed in right now. This is another addition to before the question. When it comes to produce, the first loads of produce were a rail cart of cantaloupes and then tomatoes in 1905. The produce went from Sonora and was sold in Colorado. In 1906, Edward Harriman of New York, owner of both Union Pacific and Southern Pacific, created the reefer car, a rail car with ice bunkers and fans that permitted the transportation of produce for over long distances. He put 6,000 cars into service that year as the Pacific Fruit Express. This all happened in Nogales. In the 1920s, the produce began to grow, and by the 30s was a major industry. Can't see that. On 321 Arroyo Boulevard sits the largest Queen Anne-style influenced residence with hip roof. It was built for a prominent mining man and Nogales mayor of 1902 to 1904. Who was this person?
You lost that election, did you?
What was the question?
Okay.
Unless I was breathing too hard.
On 321 Arroyo Boulevard sits the largest, right now, the largest Queen Anne style influenced residence with hip roof. The Rock House right in the corner of Walnut and it was built for a prominent mining man and Nogales mayor, 1902, 1904. Who was this person?
Not Cenizo, Jerry Cenizo. He was the owner of that house at this time.
Cenizo was the owner of the house. Was he mayor?
No. Anybody else?
It was Carnes.
Any? Ay, dando cerquitas.
Who was it?
Frank F. Krantz. Krantz. See, we need a George here. That was a lifeline for everybody to George, but by the way, George, he's answered every one up to now, every question up to now. But, yeah, Frank F. Krantz. He was a mayor also. And that home is still there. Do you know which one it is? So right in the corner of Walnut and Arroyo. Behind all those hedges. Beautiful. Yeah. Very nice. Okay, item number 5. Call to the public. Anybody? Do we have anybody to call to the public?
I don't have.
We don't have anybody? Okay. Anybody out there that wants to say something that's not related to the agenda or anything? No? No, item number 6, presentation. First things first, Santa Cruz Regional Partnership Council by Brenda Gallardo and Ana Rosas.
Good evening. How is everybody tonight?
Okay.
I like that. That's a great, good addition. I'm Dana Gallardo, and I am the current chair for the Santa Cruz Regional Partnership Council for First Things First. And I'd like to introduce Ana Rosas, and she's the incoming chair and she'll be coming in July. And then I'd also like to introduce Susan Fobion. She's our executive secretary in the office and administrative assistant. And then I'd like to introduce Dr. Aaliyah Samuel. She's our new regional director, and she is actually going to be doing the presentation this evening for you, so we're going to break her in this way. So, thank you all very much for this opportunity.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are you
Feel
today?
as comfortable as possible. No pressure whatsoever.
All right. And in your folders that you'll be receiving is a copy of the presentation, as well as some of our Born Learning documents that we hand distribute within the community, as well as some of our fact sheets. The information that you'll find in the fact sheet, portions of it will be in the PowerPoint as well. First Things First was created in 2006 by a voter initiative. Through the tobacco tax, 80 cents of every dollar comes directly to First Things First. With that, it developed 31 regions, and each region has an 11-member regional council. Funds are then distributed to each region based on the number of children age 5 and under in each region. And currently Santa Cruz County has 4,965 children between the ages of birth to 5. Santa Cruz was awarded $1,329,897 for fiscal year 2011. Before I jump into the presentation and what First Things First is doing in our community right now, I would like to show you just a small clip of why early childhood is so important.
That's a good commercial. Baby
And although this video is a little far-stretched in that most year-old babies and younger are not operating laptops and smartphones, it is the direction where the world is turning. Children are working with technology at a younger and younger age, and this is just a snapshot of the neuroscience. Many people think that children between the ages of birth to 5 are just not fundamentally or developmentally ready to learn new things. And this is just a snapshot of the brain at a newborn, 1 month, 3 months, and 6 months. And as you can see, by 6 months, there's over 700 new interconnections between the brain cells every second. This picture also shows that by the age of 3 years old, 80% of a child's brain is already fully developed. By the age of 5, 90% is developed. So the brain is just like any other muscle. And I'm actually, can you hear me if I don't speak behind the podium? Yes. Okay. Yes. I can just use my teacher voice. I was a former principal, so I'm more comfortable in front of the mic than behind it. So this just shows you the trend when children are exposed to positive, optimal learning environments. And the brain is like any other muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it becomes. The less you use it, the weaker it becomes. And the goal of First Things First is to develop children and have them ready for kindergarten, and not only that, lay the foundations for them further in life. Here are just a few statistics. Kids who start behind, stay behind. 88% of children who have difficulties reading by 1st grade more than likely will continue having difficulties by 4th grade. Children who are subjected to adverse childhood experiences are more likely to develop emotional and cognitive problems later in life. Adverse childhood experiences can be parents who abuse drugs and alcohol, a parent who is incarcerated, a mother who is being abused, either physically, emotionally, sexually, or a child who is just being neglected in the home. Those adverse childhood experiences more likely will impact the child over a long term, including health care, deviance, and overall loss of productivity. The more positive experiences we can create and the less negative experiences, the greater the long-term savings, not just for our community, not just for our nation, but the child overall as well. Here are some facts on high-quality education. If a child is exposed to a high-quality education beginning from birth, they are 40% less likely to need special education or be held back, 70% less likely to commit a crime by the age of 18, and have better language, math, social skills, and just overall better relationships, which ultimately our goal is to produce socially well-adjusted adults. Also, they have better cognitive and sensory skills and less anxiety and score higher on school readiness tests. And with that school readiness, I'd just like to point out, more and more states are moving to the retention third grade year in reading, meaning that if a child is not reading on grade level and has passed the state assessment, such as the Ames test, by third grade, they will be retained. And studies show once a child is retained once, they are more likely to drop out of high school. So just an important tidbit. First things first, and what is it doing in our community? First Things First has 5 major goal areas: quality and access, professional development, health, family support, community awareness. And we have regional strategies and statewide strategies. I will only mention our statewide strategies, and then I'll go into more detail as far as what First Things First is doing in the community right now. One of First Things First signature programs is Quality First. And it's a new statewide program that is completely voluntary for child care centers, both in-home and traditional site-based care centers, to begin the evaluation system. They're provided ongoing support. They are, and once they have received additional support, they're then evaluated to see if the additional support is helping the children in the home. A few other of our statewide strategies, we have child care scholarships. In order to make sure that as many children in the community are receiving quality care, they are afforded scholarships through an application process with the United Way. There is Project Teach, and let me just turn to that page so I can. Teach is the Teacher Education and Compensation Help Program, and basically that program provides training, compensation, and it's a commitment for those child care providers to create positive learning experiences. The Child Care Health Consultation, it's also known as CCHC, they provide training, support, technical assistance, and collaborations for all child care health consultants throughout the state. Then we also have the Loan Repayment and Stipend Program. That is a program that is trying to recruit physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech and language pathologists to work with children ages birth through 5. And then we have parent education materials, and there are a few of those materials, a few samples in your folders. Our goal area and regional strategies. We have 4 major regional strategies that we are implementing within the Santa Cruz County. The first is recruitment into the field, which is sponsored through our grantee is Cochise College. We have oral health, which is through Mariposa Community Health Center. And then under family support, we have 2 different strategies. We have our family resource centers, one located in Nogales and the others in Rio Rico. And then our home visitation, which is also known as the Promatoras program through Mariposa Community Health Center. Professional development, recruitment into the field. Currently, Cochise College, they offer an accredited program which offers early childhood education and tuition waivers for the scholars. We currently have 21 students on scholarship. Out of the 21, 8 of them have a GPA of 4.0. And through this program, we're finding a lot of high school students are now expressing interest in early childhood, so the recruitment process has begun. Students who receive this scholarship One of the ways they give back is that they volunteer at the Family Resource Center, both in Nogales and Rio Rico, depending on where they live. Our health strategy, the oral health, and there you see a picture of one of our students, or children rather. They are offered oral screenings and fluoride varnishes. They also offer oral health education for pregnant and postpartum women. Currently, First Things First of Santa Cruz County is they offer $74,000 to this program. Their goal is to offer services to over 2,000 children and 300 women who are either pregnant or postpartum. And they also have a partnership with both of the Family Resource Centers. Our family support, we have 2 Family Resource Centers, as I stated before. Some of the courses that they offer are nutrition, kindergarten readiness, parenting classes, and they actually offer over 20 free courses on an ongoing basis to the community. Currently, they've been servicing over 350 adults. 60 families are receiving health insurance enrollment assistance. 75 adults have received family literacy trainings or workshops. 200 children have been attending the family literacy training and workshops. Over 200 books have been distributed, and currently First Things First funds the family resource with $516,000. Both of the locations for our family resource centers are listed there, and the director, Debbie Curley, her phone number and extension is there as well if you'd like to contact her for a calendar of events. Also highlighted in the Nogales International, both yesterday and today, were some of the programs at the Family Resource Center, so they have been highlighted in the paper as well. Our family support, the Promotora program, they currently work with children from 0 to 5 years old in the health sector. They also work with them as far as education. They provide weekly visits with developmentally and age-appropriate literature for the child. And they also partnership with the Family Resource Center. And currently, First Things First is funding them with $336,000 annually. Our 11-member council, we are actually looking to recruit 3 different positions. We need a philanthropic member, an early childhood educator, and a health service provider to have a complete council. So if you have anybody that's interested, and there's a picture of our part of our awesome council receiving the check for this fiscal year. Those are our 3 positions that we have. And if you would like to contact us or apply for this council position or be a part of the work that we do, the website is an excellent start. Also in your folders is my business card, so you can feel free to contact me. And that is all I have for you today. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the council? Any questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very
Thank you very
informative.
much.
Thank you. Item number 7, presentation linkages of Arizona by Moses Perez.
First of all, I want to thank the mayor and also the honorable council members of this City Council Nogales for this invitation. I also want to thank Leticia too for helping me in organizing myself to get myself here today. I made a short trip from Tucson this morning to Sierra Vista and now here in Nogales. I can say I personally remember driving out to Patagonia when I was a kid, but coming from Sierra Vista, coming to Nogales, what a beautiful drive. I was really pleased by seeing the countryside and really encouraged, and I want to bring my family to make that drive soon. So just wanted to thank all of you for this invitation. And also, I want to thank Roxana here from CVIS. Because of her, I was able to meet the mayor and also have this opportunity to present linkages of Arizona to all of you this evening. So, with that said, also I want to say what a great presentation. And can we give Aliyah, is it Aliyah?
Aaliyah.
Aaliyah, can we give her a hand clap for a great presentation? I'd want her as a principal for my kids. She seems like she's got it together. So with that said, if I could direct your attention to the PowerPoint here. Linkages of Arizona is basically this. We're the bridge between businesses or the community of businesses and people with disabilities. So in a nutshell, what we do is we help people with disabilities or disadvantages gain employment. With that, I kind of want to open up, after the thanks I gave, a little bit talking about my brother Herman. I was born in Tucson, Arizona. Don't hold that against me. I mean, I know you're Arizonans too. But actually, I was actually raised in Douglas, Arizona. So growing up in Douglas, Arizona, I know a little bit about what it is to live in a border town community. And also, we used to come and visit my grandmother from Sinaloa here in Nogales, Sonora. So the only time really we came to Nogales, Arizona it was really to go to Nogales, Sonora and visit my grandmother. My dad, originally from Culiacan, Sinaloa, moved to Nogales, Sonora when he had enough money and felt the situation was stable enough to bring his mother and dad here to the border town. And because my dad worked really hard in Nogales, Sonora and in Mexicali, eventually he gained permission and the permit to come to Tucson and begin to work, and that's how I was born in Tucson, Arizona. My mom was originally from Douglas, Arizona, and since my mom was pretty powerful in the relationship, we ended up back in Douglas. and that's where I basically was born and raised there in Douglas, or really raised. With all that said, talking about my brother Herman, when we were down there in Douglas, I believe it was about 25 years ago, I was about 12 years old at the time, my brother Herman was diagnosed with schizophrenia. I don't know how many of you are aware of what that illness is, but it is a behavioral health illness. Being 12 years old, I didn't know a lot about behavioral health. All I knew is something was wrong with my brother when he was running in and out of the house. And once in a while he would punch a tree or a mailbox. And I would ask him, you know, Herman, get the end of this, what's wrong? And he's like, well, I was like, why'd you go hit that tree? And he's like, well, they told me to. And I said, who? And he said, well, the voices. And that's where I began to learn as a kid what behavioral health was. Back then, there was only one agency, one provider in Douglas. And rehabilitation wasn't even a word used in behavioral health, I don't think, back in those days. It was pretty much behavioral health, what it was let's make sure he doesn't kill himself or kill someone else. And that was the extent of behavioral health. Today, as we know it, now the REBAs, which are the regional behavioral health providers, they work with agencies such as CBIS, where Roxana works. Roxana, can you lift your hand? Just want to point her out. In fact, Roxana, if you don't mind, could you pass out those cards for me? Just so everybody has one, including everybody here in the audience. Roxana is a job developer at CBIS. And what a job developer does is she works with the clients or the participants or the consumers that are receiving services from CBIS, and she gets them ready to work. So she gives them training such as interviewing skills, she works on their resumes, and I want to say, I mean, Roxana does a really good job there at CBIS in preparing people to work. People know her in Benson and in Douglas. In all of Cochise County, they know that she's doing a great job. In fact, other agencies outsource that type of work. Even though they're a behavioral health agency, they refer some of their consumers or their clients that need to work, they refer them out to Roxana because she's doing a good job. So in that, going back to my brother Herman, back then they would just give him meds and he was pretty much kind of like a zombie. He really, you know, he wasn't thinking about working, or we would never dream of him actually being in society and functioning with other people. And I can tell you that, let me kind of fast forward to today. About 7 months ago, my brother Herman, he came up to me and said, Moses, I'm thinking about going back, I'm thinking about working. My brother's about, I think he's about 41 years old right now, and when he came to me 7 months ago and told me he was actually thinking about work, I almost cried. I mean, because to me that was tremendous. When I asked him why, and he said, well, he goes, I feel like I'm ready, I feel like I'm healthy, the meds are working for me, you know, and I just feel better. So I was like, wow, Herman, that's cool. We need to see what we can find you. This was before I was working for Linkages. I said, we need to see what we can find you. I said, you know, I know such and such place. I know this other place that can maybe give you a job. He says, well, I don't want to work 40, 50 hours yet, Moses, you know, just like little by little. I was like, okay. So I was kind of starting to understand rehabilitation for people who have behavioral health issues or physical disabilities. They want rehab how they want rehab, you know, in their time. Where somebody who might not be ready for work might be ready for school, if that makes sense. So rehabilitation is different for all sorts of different types of people with disabilities. So anyways, in doing that, I learned one thing in behavioral health, that the behavioral health system was beginning to improve. Okay, I know I'm not giving a presentation on behavioral health, but it's very important. I think if I asked every one of us to raise our hands, those of you who have somebody who has a behavioral health issue in your family, or you know of somebody that has, can we do that just for a second? Do you know of anybody that has a behavioral health issue? And that kind of goes to tell us that this is an important topic. And I can tell you that the behavioral health system is improving, because if they had not improved, my brother would have never talked about going back to work. The reason why he was talking about going back to work is because his case manager had begun to talk to him about going back to work. So the consumers, or the people that have behavioral health issues, they will never get better if the agencies don't get better. And the agencies will never get better unless the REBAs get better, which are the, you know, the regional behavioral health providers. They will never get better if Arizona Department of Health never gets better, or if they didn't buy into what rehabilitation is. So, with that said, what we do at Linkages, I'm using behavioral health as one area of people with disabilities. But basically at Linkages, what we do is we work with the DDD population, developmentally disabled population. We also work with people who have physical disabilities, like at different organizations. I won't go into all of them. And we also work with people who have behavioral health issues or those sorts of disabilities. And this is what Linkages does in a nutshell. What we do is we help develop relationships between the employers and the agencies. For instance, CBIS. I asked Roxana to be here, and would you come and kind of tell a little bit about how Linkages worked with CBIS to help get some of the people that you help a job. Okay,
Sure.
This is Roxanne. She's from CBIS.
I'm from Nogales. Then I'm from CBIS. Good evening, and thank you for giving us just a small portion of your time to let you know what we're doing here in Nogales. The big CBIS OP office closed down. It broke down into 3 new clinics: Penal Hispanic Council, Corazon, and CIA, Community Intervention Associates. The portion of CBIS that is still around in Nogales is the office that I am at, which is at the same place where Mariposa Community Resource Center is at. So we send a lot of people to your establishment as well. What I do and have been doing for CBIS is I'm a job coach, job developer. So I take the participants from all these clinics, the ones that are interested in working, and I get them started on a little thing called Job Club. We meet at the One Stop. We go over resumes, skills, who wants to work, who wants to volunteer, who really just wants to answer phone. You know, I check out their skills. And then at that point, I was having a hard time finding employers. So they were working inside the CBIS infrastructure. I've got about 20 clients, 10 that are actively working. I couldn't find employers to open their doors because I didn't understand part of the tax incentives, which Moses came to Nogales in March. We worked with some employers here in Nogales, one of them being Safeway. They linked up because they had prior experience with Moises in all of Arizona, the Safeway. And in less than 3 weeks, I can tell you that I offered these 3 positions they had at Safeway to 10 of my clients. 4 of them said they were interested. 3 of them actually showed up and interviewed and filled out the application on Linkages and on Safeway. 2 of them are actively working there now, and they've been there for a month. I don't just get them a job and forget about them. I check on them weekly. I check with their managers. Do they need some help? Is there some skills that they need to work on? And it's really been eye-opening to have linkages back up to the resources that I have here in Nogales, because I know I'm from here, I've lived here a long time, and I want my community to get better, but I've noticed that so often people with disabilities are more anxious to get to work than people without. And I've had more, I want to say, happy stories with people like the two people that are at Safeway right now. So if I can say anything, is that we'd like to find any employers, big or small, that would hook up with the Linkages website, put their application online. It's really easy. Moises does it in no time at all. And for the city, we had thought maybe some volunteers to fill in spots that we can't pay for right now. But if a volunteer comes in and says, you know, I'll work 10 hours and I'll learn this job, and maybe when the positions do open up, you've got someone that's already trained. So, and I review their skills, and they are all wonderful people, but not everybody can work at Safeway. Not everybody wants to work at Safeway. And we are opening up more and more sites as we speak, but it was really easy and painless, and I saw in 1 month's time what I've been trying to do for a year. So I highly encourage, if you folks know anybody with a mom and pop store, any place that might just need some temporary things, and not everybody fits in that spot, but I'm there to encourage all of you to please talk to people that you know that have businesses that might need a volunteer to answer the phones because they can't pay anyone. But I've got those volunteers, and I train them well, and we teach them how to dress, how to act, what to say, what not to say, and it's turned out to be, for me, a blessing. Moises and Linkages has made my job so much easier and a lot more fun, because I like having fun. If you guys know me, I like to have fun. So that's really about it, and I have a few business cards. I didn't bring as many as Moises, but the CEDAS office is open. We're right across from Pearson School. Our clients should be members of one of the clinics. But if they're not, I'll still work with them and figure something out there. So, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, Mrs.
You know, Roxana asked if you know of any, small, mid-sized, large businesses that you think might want to open up a door to somebody with a disability or disadvantage. Please take that to heart. You have my card. But one of the things I wanted to mention too as well is if you know of anybody that has a disability, I don't care what type of disability it is, okay? Except for flojera, that's not a disability, which is laziness, right? If they have a serious disability, some type of, please, and they are looking for employment, please give them my card or give them my contact. Somebody that wants to work, okay? I don't care if they just have one leg, one arm, one eye, whatever, or they have a mental disability, developmental, but they want to work. Trust me, more than likely we will find them employment, because as they say, when there's a will, there's a way. Also, I want to say that there's already a lot of small to mid-sized businesses that are already opening up the doors to people with disabilities, but they're not getting the $2,400 tax credit. And I would like them to get that credit. So if there's a lot of the times you'll have a tío or an uncle that gives a job to a nephew that has a disability, and he doesn't know about the tax laws. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about that really fast. This is a sales pitch that I take with me when I go and talk to HR managers, HR directors, or even call center directors or store manager. I talk to them about the fiscal, the social, and the internal benefits in hiring somebody with a disability. If you've heard of, we have heard of a lot about people diversifying their workforce, and they think a diverse workforce is race, age, or gender, which is all true. But it's also hiring people with disabilities. That's part of workplace diversity. But I don't just talk to them about that. I also talk to them about the WOTC credit, which is a $2,400 tax credit they get when they hire somebody with a disability. I also talk to them about retention rates, what Roxana says, how pumped up they are. Once they get a job, they don't want to lose that job. You have to beat them away with the stick sometimes I've had many experiences when I've gotten people with disabilities jobs where they do not call in sick even though they're sick. and their employer has to force them to go home and rest because they're so excited and pumped up about working. So with that said, what we've done at Linkages is we've built high-level relationships with stores like Safeway, Bashas', Walmart, and also other call centers. And where that makes a big difference is because the fact that we have a good communication and a good relationship with Larnie Lucas, who's the HR Safeway director for all of Arizona. Once we sold it to her and she understood it, we piloted a study with her in Tucson. It became a success. All of a sudden she said, every store, every city, let's do it. So that's why I was able to get the door open with Roxana and Cebus, is because we had that existing relationship with Safeway. So that's one example. Some other examples is we've done innovative training with call centers that I would like to try to see if we could do something like that in the agriculture world here in Nogales, and maybe also something with Home Depot. So those are some things that we have on the burner, as well as maybe doing a resource fair here in the future of Nogales, in Nogales, should I say. Right now, I'm going to kind of end with this, is Linkages is a very small organization. It was actually founded by Jim Click. I don't know if you've heard of him. He has sold a couple cars in his lifetime. But he's in Tucson, Arizona, and this is his way of giving back. You know, we talk, if you've ever heard about a legacy, leaving a legacy, the legacy that he wants to leave behind is really helping people with disabilities get jobs. And so he started it, he funded it for quite a bit of years until we started getting some funding from the state and also from some of the REBAs now that help us out. We have 4 people to service all of Arizona. So we're running right now really lean and mean, but we are not going to hire anybody until we figure out really what we need to do and what the job is and the job descriptions for the different infrastructures that we're trying to set up. So with that, please know that my area is it's of course where we're at right now, Santa Cruz County, Cochise County. I'm even in Yuma, I'm all the way in Greenlee County as well, but I have a special place in my heart for Nogales and Douglas especially, and the mayor has done really well in welcoming me into the city, as well as Roxana. So please know I'm here to serve you guys however I can. Okay? So the last thing I just want to mention about people with disabilities getting employment is this. When a husband loses his wife, he goes through what's called grief and loss. Or if a mother loses her child, she goes through some extreme emotional pain that I can't even imagine. But I can say that I have met some mothers that have lost their children. They don't want to work, they don't want to go to school, they don't want to socialize. All they want to do is, for a while, is grief and go through that, and they need their support system. But eventually, after, whether it be 6 months or 6 years, she wants to go back to work. So with that said, what do you think the doctor tells that mother is the best thing that she can do to get back into recovery? Go back to work. Go to school. Do something. Because when you're working and you're going to school, you're doing something with your time productively, that helps you get better. Would everybody agree with that? And that's like a no-brainer. But yet, with my brother Herman, being that he was schizophrenic, I thought that he would never go back to work until he was 100% cured. I thought that he was not supposed to go back to work until he was symptom-free. Well, who here is symptom-free? Right? We'll never be symptom-free. But working is part of that rehabilitation process. So keep that in mind when you think about somebody who has a physical disability, developmental disability, or a behavioral health issue. Think about that. Them going to work or going to school or volunteering, whatever it may be, that is what's going to help them get better. Okay? Any questions? Comments? Tomatoes?
Do you do anything to help veterans with disability?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I'm a veteran myself, and not only my boss, but many of the people on our board have a very special heart. A special place in our heart for veterans with disabilities. So we are building a relationship right now with Home Depot around this initiative. But yes, if you know of any any veteran of the United States that has some sort of disability, please give them my information, or you can even email me their information, and I will contact them. We work with Vocational Rehab has a division for Veterans Affairs, and what we do is we work with them, because again, what we do at Linkage is we don't prepare the people to work. We go out and talk to businesses, open those doors with those businesses, and then connect them to an agency like the Veterans Affairs Office at Voc Rehab or the CBIS. So we go out and build the relationships, and then we connect them with the agencies. Anybody else? Yes, yes, sir.
I'm the commander here at the VFW.
Okay.
And I'm connected with a person up in Tucson with the Department of Economic Security, and they're also trying to help veterans get jobs here in Nogales and Tucson and wherever. Maybe if you stick around after the meeting, maybe you and I can talk for a little bit, and
okay,
and I'll get you hooked up with this gentleman up there.
That's exactly what we're looking for. We're looking for some good wins. We haven't been here in Nogales since our inception. This is the first year. I mean, like Roxana said, I just showed up in March. So, you know, we had a good win at Safeway, but that's one sort of disability, and we have that now as a model. But now I would love to do something like this, to put another win on the board and get that going. So definitely I'll stick around. Anybody else have any questions, comments?
I have one comment. I am also on the board for the Mariposa Point of Entry, and we're looking at a lot of jobs starting in August. They're going to be labor type of jobs, but we need to start training and getting people ready now, so that in August they have their resumes ready. They've got an idea of what skill they want to use. So that's, the last I heard, they're starting that in August, the second phase. So thank you for
very much.
sending us there. I appreciate it.
Gracias,
Thank you very
Mayor.
much.
Gracias,
Thank you very much.
City Council. Thank you, citizens.
Item number 8, presentation of Nogales Public Safety Technology Investments, NPD and FPD.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
members of the council, we thought it was timely. There's been a lot of progress, a lot of effort on the part of our police department and our fire department as it relates to getting our system up to speed with some of the timelines that are being pushed on us by the FCC regarding our communications. We thought it was timely to provide a quick update to the council relative to those efforts and what we have to look forward to over the next couple of years. So that's what this is about.
Thank you, Mr. Joe.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I'll be co-presenting here for you today with Joe Baring and Fire Chief Hector Robles, and it'll be a little tag team. But basically, it's like Mr. Dilly said, it's just to give you a brief as to where we were 4 years ago, where we are now, and where we need to be at the end of 2012, and how we plan to get there. Okay, and I'll let Joe Baring start with the technical end of narrow banding. And I'm going to hold him to it, and I'm going to try to get it done really quick. Okay.
Mayor, council members, thank you. And I apologize, I'm not used to this clicker. If I need some help, Jose, I may enlist you. Thank you for your time. You may have heard over the last year or so about some grant programs and other initiatives that we were working on, trying to both address what Mr. Dilley said regarding the FCC mandate, but also the analysis that both police and fire did to look at what they really need, not just what they're mandated to do. And that has to do a lot with their primary partners, like Border Patrol and Customs and the Sheriff's Office, and in addition to what else is going on in the state. One of the sobering facts was that there was a lot of money to catch up to where these people were going. Folks like CBP invested $100 million in their communication system at a drop of a hat, other things like that, which took the breath away of our police and fire folks, because that's just not numbers they're used to dealing with or realistically manage. So within their normal budgets. So
one of the only strategies available to them, particularly with the economic downturn, was to look at grant programs, and that's where we started. And didn't really expect to make some of the progress we've made, but also didn't realize it was going to be quite as difficult as it turned out to be. And I apologize because there's a lot of information here. It's information dense. I'm not going to read every bullet point unless you'd like some more clarification. But there's two issues that most governments, state and local, around the nation are dealing with. One is narrowbanding, which is what the FCC requires you to do. And most of the equipment owned by the city of Nogales is incapable of operating the way that the FCC has dictated. And that's been out there since about 1991, so it's not a new phenomenon. And as you saw, both police department and fire departments were looking at this back in 2007, so they've been making preparations. It's just, it's kind of like eating the elephant, though. It's a pretty big thing to try to swallow. So the other aspect is, can be confusing, is P25. P25 is not the same thing as narrowbanding, but it is the public safety standard for communications that has been adopted in the United States. So if you're going to do one, which is what's mandated by the FCC, that's great. But if you're going to do the other, which is really what you should be doing to be compatible with all your other public safety agencies, and that's also what's required if you're going to accept federal grant dollars to buy communications equipment. So police and fire have moved along that continuum with both ideas in mind, both the narrowbanding and the P25. The problem with going P25 is that it's an all or nothing type of a proposition. You can't be, it's sort of like being half pregnant. It's not possible. Either you're all P25 or none of you are P25. So the struggle has been, how do we get across that line? Amongst other justifications has not just been the mandates, but just in general how the agencies conduct business. I think it was Chief Kirkland that made the observation that the average Nogales High School student has more technology capabilities in his backpack than you know, our police and firefighters. That's changing, thankfully, but it's true. But we're also very conscious that we want to do things we only have one shot at the apple. We want to do it once. We want to make sure that we're compliant with national standards, and we want to be able to serve both our officers and firefighters as well as our community. That was a real brief, fast run through the technical part. What's next? Then we sort of segue into the grants, and Commander, would this be something you would be better addressing?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor and Council, that was a really quick overview on the technical side. My background's in information systems, and I've had to listen to Joe a couple of times to get the grasp of what it really is all about. Do any of you have questions about the technical stuff? Otherwise, we'll move into how we're really trying to approach the problem. And it really is a big problem in terms of a dollar number. So, if there's no questions about the technical aspect of it, other than knowing the direction we're trying to head with the P25 and the narrow banding effort and why, then we can proceed into our efforts. Please.
How soon would the PD and the fire department or the whole city need this system? How soon would it have to be in place, or yesterday? Besides
it has to be in by the end of 2012.
By the last day of 2012. It's mandatory. It has to be in place.
It's not optional. Yes,
It has to be in place by. You got it.
The correction to that answer is that's specific to the narrow banding, right? That's specifically being mandated by FCC. We have to go narrow band, and that deadline is the end of the calendar year of 2012. Okay.
Well, I'll turn this.
Just a question. This is outside of using cell phones or anything like that, right?
That is correct.
What we're talking about here are the radios.
Yes, sir. It's
Yes,
basically,
walkie-talkie radios or whatever.
You have one right there, Joe?
yes, sir. It's basically the portable radios and the mobile radios. Portables are the ones the officer carries on his hip, and the mobiles are the ones, obviously, they're the ones that are inside the patrol vehicles.
Now, the only ones that can use that are people that have that? Or can somebody hack into your system?
No, sir. These, right now as it is, actually, you can go down to Radio Shack in theory, and you can get a list of frequencies and listen to everybody, because everybody's in the open. When we transition into the P25, we're also going to be transitioning into the encrypted end of it. So it'll be a frequency. This is where I'm probably going to attack out of my expertise. But if once you go to transmit, you're going to transmit out on one frequency. It'll come back in a different one, and it'll be a rotating one every time. So it'll be encrypted, so you will no longer be able to go down to Radio Shack and listen to what the PD is doing or law enforcement in general.
It'll be constantly being scrambled.
Yes, sir.
And that's actually a requirement to have any communications with Customs and Border Protection. So they are mandated by Homeland Security and National Security directives to only conduct business in encrypted form.
So basically, everybody will be speaking with it on a so-called a secure line.
Correct.
Is that what you're doing?
And you're also being mandated to be out in plain language as well. So right now, those of you that have the capability to listen to the PD, you'll notice that we transition into plain language so that everybody's on the same page. And that's what the entire country is going to eventually come to.
That means we have to get all new equipment and radios and so forth, right?
Yes, sir. And we're working on that.
All right, and then with the old radios that we had, we'll not be able to use anymore. In order to save money, can we use that in public works, those radios, so we can do away with all the cell phones and so forth? They don't need cell phones once you have good communications.
We have, to a large extent, not this past year, but the year before, there was a huge effort to reduce cell phones. I don't remember the dollar numbers, but I think the overall budget for the city cut in half, which was a sizable reduction. This year, to augment that reduction, we have taken old phones from the police department with Joe's help, got them reprogrammed so that they are now out in the field and operational with Public Works and our Parks and Rec group so that they can be communicating. But that was to augment the phones that we got rid of. So, you know, to the extent that operationally it makes sense for us to do that, that'll be the continuous mode of operation for us in any way to try to reduce the cost for cell phones. So that we'll continue to try to work towards that.
Yes, sir. And as you see at the last paragraph, or the last bullet where it says Public Works, they're already 100% migrated into the narrowband radio. We do have some more radios now that we're in the process of transitioning over to them to give them extra radios, but we're right around the corner from that, from getting them 100%. At least what they have right now, they're already at. These are some of the numbers that we came up with when we did the assessment. We gave you the high end of it. A lot of it's been covered already, as you can see down in the percentage. MPD mobile data, that's been funded 100%. The MPD infrastructure has been funded 100%. And as you go down the line, you'll eventually get down to the amount remaining is the 828,000 roughly. But we have a plan on how we're going to try to cut that. And our goal is, if you go to the next slide, you'll see the, actually towards the end, you'll see a slide where it talks about all these grants that are still available to us, and we're waiting for fallout funds to come back down to us. We have been in communications with Arizona DHS. They're just not in a position right now to let the cat out of the bag yet and see how much funds is going to be available for 09 fallout funds. And then with that, we'll also follow fallout funds from 2010, and we just submitted our 2011 application, and we'll hopefully have an answer on that by October, or actually September. And then eventually, it's a big cycle, and then we'll start preparing for 2012. At that point, that 828,000, our goal is to try to cover as much as that as we can on grants without having to come back to you. That's our goal and that's our plan. But we're in a competitive grant cycle with everybody across the state. We usually aim high and eventually they get cut down. So our goal is to try to cover as much as we can so that we can completely migrate our radio system. Okay. And this is just basically re-emphasizing the fact that we, as a Plan B, we were able to secure some these radios from Customs and Border Protection. They're 10 years old. They're not supported anymore by Motorola or the maker. But a lot of these radios will be, or actually they are P25 and they will be able to be encrypted. As a Plan B, we have some of these radios that we're going to make available to the Nogales Fire Department to help them and meet their radios requirements as well. Except these radios are not supported again. When they break, we're going to have to put them away. And we have 100 of these radios. So the PD would probably need, worst case scenarios, we'd probably need 2025 to help us now. But if our funding sources all come through, all our radios, walkie-talkie wise, would be funded 100%, and we'll have an additional 25 radios that we can make available to fire departments, okay, to help them meet their goals as well.
Go ahead, Mr. Gill.
Commander, the radio that we received from CBP, it qualifies under both of our goals, right? The P25 and the narrowbanding?
Yes,
okay.
sir, correct.
Now the intent isn't that this is the end-all solution for our fire department. However, it is, if we have to rely on Plan B, it is an alternative that we have control over right now, and it'll provide time for us to continue to work towards the ultimate solution for the fire department.
Yes, sir. Our goal is to buy enough time to continue to let the fire department use these radios, and at the same time allow for the grant periods to open up so that collaboratively or together we can sit down and we can try to write these grants to help them as well and help us as well.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, obviously you saw the overall dollar numbers associated with some of the mandates that are coming down to be on the narrow banding and the P25. I want to acknowledge the effort of our police department as well as our fire department in terms of utilizing grant monies to work that number down to a point where hopefully it's zero for us in terms of our capital outlay, as this is a requirement being imposed upon us by the federal government. We don't have the guarantee in place that that we're going to reach that goal. We did go out for a sizable grant. What was the name of that? Was that the BidP grant?
Yes, sir, the BidP, and that would have been a catch-all grant for a big chunk of change, 4.8 million, which would have solved all of it.
Obviously, that would have given us the Cadillac, right? Okay, and it would have been just a one-step. We would have had it done. We weren't successful in getting that grant. That went to sister city in Arizona, right?
Yuma.
Went to Yuma. Nevertheless, in speaking with staff, both the police department and fire, there remains enough optimism in these additional grants opportunities out there. I really think that they're going to be able to pull this out, and at the end of the day, hopefully the capital impact on the city is either very manageable or it's nothing. So I give them a lot of credit that way.
Yes. Go ahead, sir. Is there any way we can blend in with the Homeland Security and the U.S. Customs Border Patrol? The feds can ask for 100 radios right now. They can get 300 radios. There's hardly no problem. And we have the problems with trying to get monies for them. Is there any way we can blend in with them and asking them if they can give us an assistance and obtain some of the radios?
Well, the way it's been working, I'm sorry, Mayor and Council, Chief of Police Jeff Kirkham, the way it's been working is that CBP will, and with their surplus equipment, that's how we got these. But as far as their brand new equipment, they're relying that when we get funded through Operation Stone Garden and other Homeland Security grants, that those particular funds are earmarked for those projects. And every time we go forward with being on the rack that Fire Chief and I were recently appointed to, every time we go forward on those grant projects, it's always to get the communications equipment we need to move forward to get as close as we can with this project. And I'm pretty confident that we're going to come, if not with the $0, really extremely close, because every time I go forward with these grant projects, that's what we do. And I can tell you, since we started, I think we've garnered around $2 million. I'm not sure, but pretty close to getting those funds, and most of that has been, whether it be the governor's office or when I went before the governor's office for nearly $1 million, most of that was to get the communications equipment that we needed to meet this goal. So I'm pretty confident we're going to make it, and we're going to go forward with all these grants, and realistically, and I've said this, I don't really foresee that they're going to flip a switch and all of a sudden that we're not going to be able to communicate with anybody, but we're going to still move forward like they are.
Go ahead. Now, the money we have the money, but we haven't spent any money. Is that, or have we been building, let's say, whatever we need, towers or whatever it's that
Yes.
we need? And that's been an ongoing deal.
Every time we get a grant award, that's for specific equipment related to these projects, and it's expended for these projects to get to that goal.
So basically, as soon as we would get the remaining money, we would be all set up. Is that,
Yes.
that's what it is? We're not waiting until, let's say, the last day of 2012.
No, we're doing it now. We're already there. We're already equipping vehicles that meet this standard. We just need the additional, get the entire fleet and the officers, the equipment to get their entire fleet 100%.
So right now, we are using those homes, or you're using those homes?
We're using currently purchased grant radios that meet this qualification. These are being held in reserve if we don't get there fast enough.
Okay. But we do have new phones.
Yes,
we actually,
not phone, radios.
The
We have radio
radios,
equipment.
like that's,
Right.
that's a new one?
Yes.
That's one of the $5,800 ones? We're all gonna get one? That's how one.
Your scanner's gonna be obsolete, okay? No more scanners. You won't be able to tell what's or hear anything the police officer saying.
And we'd just like to acknowledge the finance department and Mauricio for his help, because he kind of tracks the project that was going on, make sure we spend the money in the right place.
Well, Chief, we're going to have a meeting pretty soon in reference to, we received the letters from the Tohono Nation on possible applications for grants for this year. And one of the items on the list is public safety. The only problem is that we just can't do what we did last year and ask for $100 million and not do anything. We have to be very reasonable.
We want to do it systematically, a process at a time.
So I talked to Mr. Dilly, and we're going to have a study session on that, so we can all be, as a council and the staff, prepared, and so we can proceed with that, because I think the deadline of that is July the 1st, July 1st on the application. Maybe we can address some of the money that's needed to complete that dollar amount for the end. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you for your presentation. Anybody else have any questions? Item number 9, presentation, citizen request management module for city website. MIS.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. We would like to just run you through a quick demonstration of what your constituents can experience on the website today through some new technology in place by way of customer service enhancement and work order generation. Are we ready to go? Yep. Okay. So Jose will take us through that process. I think it's a great step for us in terms of reaching out and making more available to our constituency the customer service and the ability to track work orders.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Jose Contreras, I'm the MIS manager. This is our new Citizen Support Center. The citizens will be able to find the most frequently asked questions. They'll be able to ask questions themselves, make requests, and they'll be able to track those requests. Here in the Find Answers, this is our frequently asked questions. We got about 100 questions in here currently. We'll keep adding stuff as we see requests come in and questions come in that are not on here. They can search for items for that was a specific question. We'll be able to do searching. What's nice about the system is that currently we have frequently asked questions, and some of the kind of like scattered all over some of the departments. We're going to incorporate them all into this one, this support center here. If they can't find the question that they're looking for, they can actually ask their own question, and we'll, like I said, we'll track those and we'll add it to the frequently asked questions, and that way they'll be available for the future. What's nice also about the system is that it actually routes it to the different departments, and so we have in the back end we have a routing system where if we request something from the library, it'll go to someone at the library. Currently we don't have that. And they can make a request, and that's another nice part about this system is that there's a few different requests, and we'll be adding them as we get and removing some, because there's tree removal. That's not something we do. And what's also nice about this system is that they'll make that request, they'll get routed to the proper department, and there's escalation, which if it doesn't get responded to in a certain amount of time, depending on where we set it, they'll escalate to their supervisor, and if they don't take care of it, eventually it makes it to Mr. Gilly. So
you should send them all to Mr. Gilly.
Well, I don't know about that one, but the important thing here, and something that we've lacked up to this point in terms of these work order generations is that sometimes they just get lost, and because the system is somewhat automated, once it's in there, if there's not a closure to that with somebody saying, hey, yeah, this is done, then it'll escalate in a period of 48 hours or whatever to that next immediate supervisor, and ultimately, as Jose has pointed out, it'll eventually get to me, and the whole purpose though is so that we can have more timely response to citizens as they're making these requests. If they see a pothole, or they see something that's not right, a water, something leaking or whatever, they can make these requests and get a more timely response.
Not only the more timely response, but they'll also be able to track here in the My Support Center. So if they submit a ticket or they submit one of these requests, they'll be able to track and see as people make changes or they go out and inspect or whatever, they'll put their notes in, and then the citizen will be able to see those notes. So, and we'd like to go live in the next few days. We're going to do a little bit more cleanup, but in the next few days we'd like to go live. Currently, we have for our citizens, go to our website. Oops. When they go to report a concern, it's just this here. So it's a more robust system, better for our citizens.
So this is under resources?
Yeah, it'll be under this page here.
Where's the home page? When you put the home page for the city of Nogales?
This is the home page. And then we'll go into resources, and they'll report a concern.
Under resources.
Now this is the system that's in place now.
This is the current system.
But it's going to be, it's not as robust as the system that Jose just walked you through.
Okay.
Right now, if they go to this, go ahead and hit it one time, Jose. This is it. That's all there is, and it goes to just a catch-all email system. It's not really tagged to departments, and there's no tracking, or there is a tracking, but there's no escalation in our system to help ensure that there's a response, a timely response to these concerns. But the more robust system we'd like to roll out in a couple of days. We didn't want to do so without having first ran you through a visual in terms of what we were planning on doing. And if there are concerns, we want to take those into consideration before doing it.
So you're going to show Mr. Hanesian how it works?
Well, that was going to be my next question. But the next question is, I think maybe we should have, you know, where people can come in and they can go through this, because I know some of the people that call in for Radio Maxima and different things, they're going to need help being shown through the system.
And they need to learn how to use it so they can understand what's happening.
Yes. So I think we might have to announce that we have classes, 1-hour classes, so that people can come in and actually do it.
To your point, and I've implemented these things in other communities. It does take. I mean, there is a process that we all have to be educated on how to do it. You know, staff as well as the community. And so, what staff will need to do as people call in and issue a complaint or a concern, as just part of the natural response. Great, we'd like to take this information down. Oh, by the way, did you know that the city now offers a service like this on our website? And here, let me walk you through it. Do you have access to the internet? It'll take us a little more time up front in terms of how we're working with the resident, but over time, you know, they'll tell their neighbor or whatever, and hopefully it'll get out and be a resource that the community can use to you know, more eyes on the street makes our jobs a lot easier in terms of responding.
I think, Mr. Dill, you're going to find that 95% of the calls, we're going to have to fill it in. Whoever they call will have to do it and get their name and fill it in and let them know that it's on there, right?
Which is something that we're doing already.
Yes.
And so it's not an increased load for us. Hopefully, it only gets better in terms of people doing it themselves. But at the end of the day, if we are still entering the same type of information that we do today, at least it gets put into a system that is more robust and can track and can deliver a better product and service to our residents, which is what we're trying to do. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Just a question. I use your system a lot, and it's a very good system, and it's efficient, especially for paying your water bill. But I have a problem with your sales tax.
Can you come up to the podium, please?
I didn't want to say that, but Manny got up and he was going to. Manny had a question also, so
you gotta get it together there.
I know. I'm losing it. Go ahead.
Mr. Dilly, there's a lot of companies that keep writing and they want to go green. And the problem I have with the sales tax is that they say that I can't pay it. I have to mail in the sales tax form because I got to sign it. But corporations are constantly telling me that once I type in my name and there's a little description there that says it is considered a legal signature when you type your name in. Why can't you do that so I can pay my sales tax right there? I just type in my name, it's considered my legal signature, I give you my credit card, and it's paid for. Why are you making me run back and forth?
Respectfully, I think the question is off point, but I'd be happy to talk to you about that with our finance director after the meeting if you'd like.
Oh, well, you were showing your portals and everything on your home page and everything,
This
so I
is
thought I would
specific
be on.
to, and you can issue a complaint through this and get a tracking number.
It'll go down to John and John will just shuffle it.
It'll then get escalated to me and I would be able to help.
It's going to go up the ladder.
So this request is on point?
I believe it is. The presentation is specific to a new feature that we're presenting in our website to address customer complaints. And so if this being a customer complaint, I would encourage you to jump on and log it in. But
no, I'm just trying to see
quicker.
Give you a citizen's opinion on your website how you can become more efficient so you can get cash flow a lot faster.
It's a good idea.
Duly noted.
Yes.
Mr. Barona, in the first page, you didn't even identify yourself. You don't even know who you are.
Ask him.
Mr. Coppola?
Brett Coppola, Nogales International. Is this part of the original $17,000 invested in the website, or is this an upgrade? And how much did it cost?
Actually, this is a system we currently have in-house. Well, we had in-house it with the engine system. We purchased about 3 or 4 years ago. It was never really utilized. This company, WebQA, purchased InTouch, and they offered us this just for the yearly maintenance fee, which is about $1,200 a year. So we took them up on that.
My other question was off point.
You didn't tell him he was off point.
Well, he didn't ask the question. My other question.
Roxana Lopez Cibes. I have just a suggestion. If someone does need an hour training or something, like Mr. Hanisani suggested, One Stop has 20 computers there that you can go online. You can have a monthly course where people from Nogales can actually go and sit there and have somebody show them through. I don't think it'll take an hour, but there is a resource that we can use, and I think Patricia Wallace would be okay with me suggesting that, that we use that. But we do have that. So there's 20 plus computers online. We just have to reserve the room and take it from there.
That'd be very good. Thank you. Thank you.
Some people might need 2 hours.
Some people might need to.
Is that, you get it? Was it? Yes.
Okay.
That's a quotation of the month. Oh, what does that mean? That's a quotation of the month. On point. This is beyond Costco.
Item number 10, consent agenda, entertain a motion to consent agenda. Items A through D. So moved. Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 11, consideration and possible action of order number 2011-06-040.
Make a motion to approve order number 2011-06-040.
Second?
Thank you very much. Discussion?
None.
Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You guys have it. Item number 12, consideration and possible action of number 2011-06-041.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, go ahead.
Before a motion is entertained, I just wanted to bring up just a clarifying point. In the staff summary report, it was identified that funding for this would come from the project contingency fund, the capital fund in our budget. It was brought to my attention that amount of money was earmarked by council previously this year to help with the Morley Avenue project. Okay, so what I would like to propose to the council tonight, this is very important. This is the needs assessment that we were talking about relative to our police department, their functionality, getting maximal use of our existing facility versus what they need in terms of planning for year 1, 2, out to year 5 or 10, whatever it is. Durant is a very reputable company. They've been in the business. They've built public safety facilities on both a small scale and a large scale, and for other municipalities in the state of Arizona. I feel very comfortable with this. I've talked with the chief about it. He's more than welcome to address you at the mic particularly on this. But relative to the funding, I'm suggesting to the council a little bit of flexibility, allowing me to work with the chief and pulling from perhaps some monies from the capital project of the fountain out here in front of City Hall that has a current budget of $35,000. I want to get with staff and see what we can do to downsize that need, because what we're talking about here isn't like a grant where we're just borrowing the budget authority and it's going to come back next year. taking money from here for this project is actually taking money. So maybe utilizing a little bit of that project money, but also working with the chief and utilizing some RICO money as well. I've already broached the idea with him, and he's seemed open to, working in that fashion. So while I can't tell you exactly the dollar number coming from this project versus RICO funds, I would just like some flexibility with the council in working with the chief and finding the most amicable way of dealing with this, utilizing those two funds.
Thank you, Mr. Dewey. Well, we don't have a motion on it. Well, we can do this, have discussion right now. Is there any discussion from the motion?
I agree with Mr. Dilly.
Yeah, I think we all agree with Mr. Dilly.
Well, before you agree for discussion, it's really outside the scope of the order here.
Off point.
Where the money's gonna come from, the flexibility. But it's not on the agenda.
Good point.
The agenda is only for the approval of that order and that proposal, which is to approve the fund.
And actually,
It's to approve that agreement.
to approve the agreement, and then the rest is administrative, isn't it? Huh? Yes. Okay, so let's do this. Do we have a motion? Do we get a motion on this?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to go ahead and approve order number 2011-06-041.
Second?
It would be on point.
Okay. No, it's not. Discussion? Any discussion on this?
There's a second.
There's a second already? Okay.
Yes, it's been seconded.
Okay, then let's go for a vote. Then all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? You guys have it?
No discussion, with discussion?
Well, the discussion is that I guess Mr. Dilly, it would be administrative for him to deal with what the money's gonna come from. Okay?
Can you ask a question or?
No, we can ask no more questions, Mr. President. Item number 13.
Another off point.
Consideration and possible action of number R 2011-06-013.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution R 2011-06-013.
Thank you very much. Discussion? None? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? You guys have it. Item number 14, consideration and possible action of resolution number R 2011-06-014.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve resolution number R 201-06-014.
Thank you.
Second?
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor. Discussion? None? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 15, future agenda items. Mr. Parada.
I'd like to move on the sewer and water rates. I'd like to have a study session where we put in the agenda.
Okay.
And the possibility of also closing Terrace Street is another option.
Okay. On the Terrace Avenue, Mr. Parada, would you like to wait until we get the results of the study that is being done right now when we discussed on the study session the other day for the new policy, or you want to do that in case the study is not done before the next agenda, the next council meeting?
Which study, I'm sorry?
Right, the one we requested from you for the plan, for the possible, for the policy and the transportation and the terminals and everything having to do with Terrace Avenue.
I see.
Because we discussed,
Yes.
we discussed that with that, we would come back and in reference to the closing or proceed with the first discussion. Should we go on that?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Parra. And then the agenda item is on the rates.
Right.
This one, okay.
Also, Mr. Mayor, on the columbarium, I think it's time we finally got this thing going. And also the green waste, we were gonna have a discussion on green waste, or either study session on green waste, or, because I think we wanted to go ahead and get the new rates out for July 1st. So
Okay.
we need to get the green waste.
So those are
Specific to the green waste, is that for adoption of fees for green waste?
Well, remember we were gonna have a discussion on green waste? Exactly.
We had a pretty in-depth presentation in terms of.
But on the rates and all that, we were gonna get back on rates?
Yeah, honestly, I would like to see, if it's okay with the council, a little more time to realize the effects of just implementing our ordinance. And then after we see that, in my mind, I was picturing, maybe 5 months of looking at that before we tried to address an ordinance change or adopting the fees, because I don't know the positive or negative impact of just strictly putting our ordinance into place. So
as long as we keep it on.
It's on our radar.
Because actually the ordinance, even if you do implement the rate on the green waste and white goods, the ordinance has to be followed. So the implementation of the ordinance and making sure that it's effective, I think, is right now more important than that. And then we'll come back to that. I think.
That's right.
Thank you, Mr. Vanessa. Any more agenda items? Vice Mayor?
Thank you.
Mr. Diaz? Anything for future agenda items for next council meeting, sir? No. No? Mr. Petty? No? I'm fine?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
just
go
a
ahead.
point of clarification. The request on the rates, was that a study session? Or did you, is this a study session item, or is it an agenda item at a future regular scheduled meeting?
So we had a study session on it. I'm
We
going
did.
to see if we can move it on and take action on it.
So your next step would be a notice of intent?
Right.
Okay.
That's okay. I needed that clarification.
Okay.
That's different. We talked about the grant with the Tohoto Automation.
Yes.
And that's going to be on a future agenda. We're thinking about doing that on the 13th.
Okay, that'll be a study session?
It's a special session.
A special session, but it would be just a study or
What we'd like is a general discussion, if
And
possible.
then direct staff?
Direct staff,
Okay.
and we would move in that fashion.
Yeah, we'll do that. Okay. And the 13th meeting is, just for your information, would be the meeting that would be for the budget.
Okay.
That'll be a Monday from
See you
now.
on Monday.
Okay?
The only other item on future agenda items that I can think of is, I just received an email from our sales tax auditor, Al Holler, the need to bring forward an ordinance to the council for your consideration, which would, it's really housekeeping, but it would amend the city's model city tax code to incorporate the bed taxes that you have already, as a council, elected to put in. They just, for some reason, weren't tied to the model city tax code in terms of strengthening that and making sure that it's linked with all the other associated fees. That's where it ought to be, so there would be an amendment to your model city tax code that way.
Thank you, Mr. Dewey. Mayor, item number 16, Mayor and Council's report on current events. Mr. Diaz?
We had our Memorial Day services Monday at the cemetery. I'd like to thank all the participants. Everybody was there. Vice Mayor Olga Valdez was in Phoenix, and she attended services in Phoenix, as I was talking with her earlier. After the ceremony, which was a very good ceremony, everybody went up to the BFW, where we served about 400 hot dogs and 700 sodas. So it was a very good event. It was very patriotic, very nice thing. I'd like to thank everybody, City of Nogales, Public Works for putting up the tents, and Mayor gave a real nice speech. Everything was
Very
good.
much.
So thank all of you for participating.
There were 3 of you that spoke, and I think all 3 of you did a great job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Vanessian?
Just one question, how many hot dogs did you have, Mr. Bennett?
With the economy,
There was 480.
with the economy, I had to share one.
Mr. Paraz?
Joe Setter.
Vice Mayor?
I would like to thank the whole city, everybody, for helping out with a senior project. I think it was a tremendous thing. Everybody seemed to be happy. Maybe 1 or 2 criticized us for whatever reason, but it was a great success, and I appreciate the help of everybody, police department, fire department, staff, the works. What can I say? The whole community responded. The mayor couldn't go, but his wife was there, and I thank her. And I also want to thank you for your speech. I was not there, but I hear that you did a tremendous job. I don't know about the other two, but maybe they did. And I congratulate you on that. And that's about it, sir. Thank you.
Yes, I wanted to give you a report on the Fiestas de Mayo. I just got the in-kind that we spent about $1,400, which was great. And thank you very much for all the help. Thank you, all of you. And I was also there at the memorial, and it was very, very nice. I really congratulate you for it.
Really?
None.
Thank you. Well, I want to say that it was a great Memorial Day too, and you know, I told the President of the United States that I got your back, you know, and that day at the cemetery, there was a wasp that was about to kill me, and there was 2 councilmen behind me, and I don't think they had my back, Mr. Dewey. No? I read my speech very nervous, and even though they said I did a great job, the wasp was stuck around. You saw it, huh? It's, you know, in the back of my ear there, and it stayed there until the speech. And luckily, I didn't get hit.
Since I had the M14, I didn't.
Yeah.
I was rooting for the wasp.
Oh, you were rooting for the wasp. Good one. Mr. Diaz said he was going to swat it with his speech, but he didn't do that. So,
that
but it was great.
That would have looked funny.
I know, I would have. Manny would
Another
have.
councilman coming up and just beating.
I know, Manny would have gotten that shot, and we would have been in the front cover of the newspaper. That's for sure. That was great. Thank you very much. Okay. City Manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I have not received any concern comments regarding the project on Morley. I drive by it, try to drive by it almost every morning, coming from to work from home, even though it's not the shortest route, but it is the most informative route these days. I see them out being productive, and they're trying to tie in. What they're doing right now is trying to tie in the temporary line. You see that above ground, and then it goes down under where the access points are to the properties. That's very important to tie in all of the properties along there so that they have a continued source of water, so that they can disrupt the old line and start tearing it out. So that's what that effort is all about, and look forward to continued progress reports. We'll expect one from our engineer at your next regularly scheduled meeting, and that'll give you a more detailed update in terms of where that project is. I wanted to just, for calendaring purposes, I know all of you have probably received a phone call from the finance department. We were originally moving forward with the date of June 8th for our next budget meeting. That date is in conflict with some other necessary appointments that can't be rearranged. In working with those calendars, we've come up to a June 13th date. It's an odd day for the council to meet, but as we're looking at the rest of the month of June and needing to or wanting and desiring to have a budget adopted before we actually go into the next year, it has a whole bunch of operational ramifications for staff. That day is pretty much the last day that we have, and so your effort to make that work for your calendars is going to be very, very greatly appreciated. Again, that's the 13th. We'll plan on doing it at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Hopefully be able to get done quickly. There's only going to be that item and perhaps the Tohoto O'odham Nation. That will be on that item, so we can have that discussion along with it, and it makes sense. The goal of that meeting, the June 13th meeting, is to establish, adopt a tentative budget. Okay. We've gone through each and every one of with each and every one of you the information of the tentative budget. At your in your boxes within the next couple of days will be is that going out tonight or no?
Yes,
I will be
distributing it right after the meeting.
Okay, so right after the meeting, you're going to get some information from staff, and what it is it's just showing you some housekeeping changes to the information, just to keep you on board with things going on. It details it out by fund, so it's pretty clean to go through. If you have any questions about any of the information that we presented, please contact either my office or Terry. and we can walk you through. The goal, though, is to adopt a tentative budget, and what that does, by way of a reminder, is it establishes the expenditure limitation for the city. Now, you'll have another opportunity when the final budget comes back towards you. You'll have another opportunity to, modify the numbers within that. We just can't exceed that expenditure limitation. So there'll be additional opportunities to have comment into the budget. Again, this just sets that limitation for the city in terms of expenditures. Vice Mayor?
Yes, sir. In case I can't be here for that date, will I be able to vote by phone?
I have done that in the past. I think that's a decision for legal, but in other communities that I've worked in, we've had council members attend via telephone and cast their vote as though they were present. So as far as I'm concerned, that's an acceptable practice.
Oh, okay.
You're gonna drive me? You're gonna drive me here?
Yeah, I'll drive you here.
You're gonna bring me in a wheelchair?
No, call me, I'll pick you up.
Okay, so June 13th, please. We have the upcoming AMC meeting this week. Look forward to, it'll be a first for me, but I look forward to being educated on that process and the benefits of that important meeting. And then just a reminder, we've got, it's time to register for the 2011 League of Cities conference, and that's in August. So if you're interested, please contact Letty. She'll help with those arrangements and make sure that you're on board for that conference. That's it from me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dillon. This meeting is adjourned. We're going to rush right into the commissioners' meeting.
Come on.
Yes.